What do you think about it? Huh? Are you the kitty cat? Are you trying to be in the review? You haven't even seen this movie. You haven't even seen this movie. Yeah, you get out of here. Oh.
It's Drewski McGillicuddy's Disturbing Behavior Movie Review.
Hey everybody, it's Drewski McGillicuddy, and before we even get started, why do I keep trying to do the Sean Chandler hand gestures? Hey everybody, it's Sean Chandler. Look at my fucking hands. No offense if you're, Sean Chandler or a Sean Chandler fan, because I'm a Sean Chandler fan. The guy's just constantly doing this, like he's trying to, make me flinch or something. I don't know. Anyway, before we get started with the movie review, there's something I meant to do 2 weeks ago, and that's welcome Joseph Lionel to the patron card. And then also I wanted to say thank you to Joseph Lionel, because I don't remember if I publicly said, hey everybody, I want to thank Joseph Lionel because he had done something that's none of your goddamn business, and it made me cry a little bit. But anyway, that's beside the point. I also want to bring up the fact that there's another newer patron that just joined the patron card. I done forgot his name. Something about Logan Hammersmith, Hammerstein, Hemlock Grove. I'm not necessarily sure. What? Henneman.
Fucking listen.
For the last time, Logan Henneman. Thanks for joining my Patreon. Something like that. If you want to join my patron or Patreon, hopefully I'll remember to put the fucking link in the goddamn thing down below, and then you can click on it and be like, Here's $5. Get better. And I'll consider it. Anyway, I took time out of my busy schedule to go watch this movie for you people that you probably forgot existed. Okay? And that's Disturbing Behavior, starring John Marston. Wait a minute, that's not right. John Marston's the guy from Red Dead Redemption. Jesus Christ. James Marston. Yeah, see, that's what it says right there. But more importantly, it's got Katie Holmes back when she was still hot. Not that she's probably not still hot. She's probably still hot. But I mean, look at this. God damn! I mean, that right there is reason enough in itself to watch this movie. Even though, get this, you're not going to believe this. The studio completely butchered the fuck out of this. And if you want to know more about the studio butchering the fuck out of this movie, you can go over to Good Bad Flicks and watch his Exploring Disturbing Behavior video. I did, so I recommend you do the same thing. Because this movie was supposed to be like an hour and 13 minutes, or an hour and 13 minutes, 113 minutes or something like that, and it ended up being like 84 minutes. So they cut out all the character development and all the suspense and the dialogue and all the stuff that makes a movie, just so that we have, something that the general fucking population can enjoy, which the general population kind of slept on this movie because it didn't make very much at the box office because of the fact that, I don't know, I have no idea what happened. But here, let's tell you what happened with me, okay? This movie came out in 1998, about 15 years old, and I was, full on into the swing of, being obsessed with horror movies. And, I had all the Scream movies. Actually, all the Scream movies weren't out yet, but I had, all the Friday. I had all the big three. I was one of those guys. I was one of those people you see over in Killer Flicks that's all they talk about is Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers, except it was Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface, and sometimes Chucky and Pinhead. I never really much talked about Michael Myers, because, he's the weakest link. I don't know what the fuck's everybody's obsession with Michael Myers. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about Disturbing Behavior. I'm not going to tell you again, okay? And this movie follows... I didn't even finish my goddamn story. Will you let me finish my goddamn story, okay? So I did not watch this movie upon its initial release. It had been a year or two that it came out to Blockbuster, and it was 99 cents, and I rented it, and then... I don't really remember. I was like, okay, all right. What? Like, something's wrong with this, but it's not like it was a terrible, terrible movie. It was just like, you know, it was one of those, like, it was worth a watch, but, you know, would I watch it again? I don't know. But then, fast forward 15, 20 years, I was going through Tubi because I canceled my Netflix because Netflix is a pain in my fucking ass. I spend more time scrolling through Netflix than I've ever watched anything on Netflix, aside from Trailer Park Boys. Once you start Trailer Park Boys, you just don't stop watching until you're done with it, and then it's like, what do I do now? Cancel Netflix. That's what I did. And I went over to Tubi, and I watched Disturbing Behavior. Okay? So let's talk about it. Sarah, the secretary, would not watch this movie, strictly because it had high school kids in it, at a time where she was already an adult, which is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Because it's like, you go back and you watch movies with people in high school from times when you weren't in high school, like the 80s or the 70s or the 60s, but you can't go watch movies about kids in high school in the fucking 90s. What the fuck kind of sense does that fucking make? Anyway, this is about a bunch of fucking high school kids in the fucking 90s, okay? And Steven, our main character, played by James Marsden, that's right, James Marsden, moves to Cradle Bay after the tragic death of his brother. They move from Chicago to Cradle Bay to start their new lives. What am I talking about? Disturbing Behavior. So they move to Cradle Bay, and right off the bat, you know, these kids, they don't seem right. But it's not all the kids. It's just certain kids don't seem right. But there's this kid, Gavin, right? And he's a stoner. And at the beginning of the movie, he witnesses some fucked up shit. Yeah, you could totally see the studio meddling while watching this movie. And I didn't even realize that there was studio meddling until after I watched the movie and went and watched Good Bad Flicks thingy that I said. I don't know. I've done so many takes I forgot where I am, who I am, and who I'm talking to and what we're talking about. But basically, they're at lunch, okay? It's lunchtime, and Gavin explains to the new kid, you know, you got your mechanics, which I don't remember having mechanics at my school, but there's like grease monkeys over in this corner, and then you got the skaters over in this corner, and he's telling them, like, you know, their drug of choice and what they do for fun and all this stuff, and then you got the nerdy kids that like to play on Microsoft and jerk off to the sound of Windows 95 opening. I don't know. But he's basically giving him the spiel about how the school works and all this stuff. And, you know, the one thing I can say about the movie is, like, had there been character development, I feel like our main group of kids could have been very likable characters. But you don't really get to know any of them other than the fact that, you know, Gavin's a stoner, Steven's the new kid, his brother killed himself, and then you got Katie Holmes, who you really have no fucking idea who or why she is. But she's fucking hot. So, I mean, the studio must have seen that. That's why they put her in the fucking movie. And this movie came out, like, right before Dawson's Creek aired. So, actually, it was filmed right before Dawson's Creek aired. Dawson's Creek had aired, and then the movie came out. So you would have thought that would have garnered. Like I said, I'm not that good at this. Garnered more attention, but it didn't. But yeah, this movie is about this kid moves to this town. He's introduced to all these wonderful characters, and then we miss out on a whole bunch of shit because the studio stuck their grubby little fingers in there. It was like, no, we gotta take out the shit that fucking makes the goddamn movie make sense. But the movie still slightly makes sense. Basically, there's this group of kids called the Blue Ribbons, and they're basically your preppies, the good kids that do their homework on time, they raise their hand in class, if they get sexually aroused, they snap bitches' necks, stuff like that, you know? Or, like, yeah, they see Katie Holmes, and the slightest annoyance just makes them fly the fuck off the handle. And that's basically what the movie's about. And then they're starting to slowly catch on like, hey, there's something ain't right about these kids. I think they might be brainwashed, and that's basically what's going on here. Not to spoil anything, but the kids are being brainwashed one by one, and the parents are in on it. So
we're being programmed.
no, it's a brainwashing thing that they do. You didn't even watch the whole movie, so you stay over there and shut the fuck up. Anyway, no, she's kidding. That's how we play. Anyway, so they figure out what's going on and they try to stop it. And that's basically what the movie's about. But I don't want to like spoil anything else because what I said about, I don't even know if I said it because she interrupted me. Anyway, Gavin, the kid that's telling Steven about, hey, these kids are all fucked up. He ends up getting turned into one of them. But it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. See, modern trailer, well, I guess the 90s is still kind of modern. But like, you know how like they like to show too much stuff in trailers nowadays? They did it back then too. You just didn't fucking notice it. Go watch the trailer and like it tells you the whole movie. That's another thing that the studio probably had a lot to do with because they just can't, let fucking directors give us their honest vision. We've got to meddle with shit, I think studios need to, like, don't fucking hire a goddamn director if you're not going to let him fucking direct a goddamn movie. Because the director also wanted, when it came out on DVD, he wanted it to have it, I can't even talk. I'm just getting so frustrated. But yeah, he wanted to have a director's cut. But they said, no, but we'll let you have some deleted scenes on the fucking special features. Well, la-di-fucking-da. That doesn't really help the fact that you fucking kind of butchered the movie. I mean, like, it's still slightly cohesive. It's just we don't know who we're rooting for. I mean, we know we're supposed to be rooting for our main titular characters, but we don't know who the fuck they are. Like I said, Katie Holmes, she's just a pretty face. She's just someone for our main character to have a love interest or whatever. Other than that, I don't know what the hell she's doing here. What do you want from me, Katie Holmes? Huh? With your little dance? Unfortunately, I couldn't find a video that was decent enough to show you the example. So go watch the fucking movie! Okay? But, yeah. This movie's a tough one to rate just because of the fact it's like the Blair Witch 2. Even though I like the Blair Witch 2 the way it is, I can only imagine how fucking awesome it would have been if I would have got that director's cut. And it's the same with this movie. Because this movie is basically a 6 out of 10. But it could be an 8 out of 10. Hell, even higher. I don't know. Now I'm just standing here with my thumbs up like a jackass. Anyway, have you seen Disturbing Behavior? Do you remember when it came out? Or are you just like, what are you talking about, Drewski? I've never heard of this movie. Well, if you've never heard of this movie, it's free on Tubi. So, and I'm not sponsored, okay? I'm just trying to tell you, if you're sick and fucking tired of Netflix, go watch like 3 commercials throughout your movie. I mean, granted, it is kind of jarring and it does slightly take you out of the movie, but hey, when a commercial or something comes on, just check your Facebook real quick and then be sure to turn your phone off and put it back where you got it, and then continue paying attention to the movie. All right. Anyway, that's the best I could do, everybody. Make sure you click the like button if you liked what you've seen here. Leave a comment if you want to. I mean, that'll probably help my YouTube algorithm, because I'm trying to get fucking rich and famous without having to do anything. So help me out, will you? And then, like, subscribe. That fucking helps. I mean, don't make me come looking for you.